The Thalkari were a species known across their quadrant of the galaxy for their elegance, diplomacy, and advanced peaceful technologies. Their culture had flourished for thousands of years under a philosophy of balance, harmony, and nonviolence. They had never built weapons of war, not out of ignorance but out of pride. To them, the very concept of aggression was primitive. Their defense systems were minimal, designed more for cosmic anomalies than enemy combatants. But peace, as they were about to learn, is fragile. Without warning, a brutal armada belonging to the Grunari Marauders, a nomadic and war-hardened race, descended on the Thalkari system. The Grunari were not interested in diplomacy. They saw the Thalkari's pacifism as weakness and their vast crystalline cities as ripe for plundering. Their assault was sudden, surgical, and merciless. Shield generators failed within hours. Communications hubs were knocked offline. Civilian transports exploded in orbit, leaving debris raining over the once pristine skies of Talaris Prime, the Thalkari homeworld. High Chancellor Valarius convened an emergency council deep within a subterranean bunker. Their fleet, what little existed, was already gone. As explosions echoed through the crust of their capital city, the council reached a grim conclusion. They had no chance of surviving this alone. Send a universal distress signal, Valarius commanded. Broadcast in every language, every frequency we know, even the ones we've never used. The technicians hesitated. We'll be reaching everything, one warned. We can't control who hears it. I know, Valarius said, a hard edge entering his usually gentle voice. We're past that now. In a dim chamber lined with harmonic crystals, the signal was crafted, not just in words but encoded with emotion, visuals, and intent. It contained the desperate image of burning cities, the faces of terrified children, the imploding starships, the plea of a people with no hope. Then, with a harmonic pulse, it was released. The signal rippled outward, leaping from satellite to satellite, star to star, encoded in gravitational fluctuations, quantum pulses, and radio bursts. Most species wouldn't hear it. Others might ignore it. But something, did not. Far beyond the Thalkari's known space, past the spiral arm and into the chaotic region known only as the Outreach, the message struck an ancient listening beacon still orbiting a long-forgotten Deathworlder colony. It was Earth technology. Once the message was parsed, analyzed, and confirmed, the beacon lit up and rerouted it to the nearest available human vessel. DWS Vengeance, a Dominion-class warcruiser patrolling the dark edge of civilized space. The ship's AI processed the transmission in milliseconds. Civilian casualties. Active planetary assault. No defensive fleet. Hostile invasion in progress. Flag. High-priority distress call. The Vengeance had standing orders for this exact scenario. Without hesitation, it adjusted course. From the Thalkari's perspective, they had sent out a desperate prayer into the void. What they didn't know was that the void had teeth, and it had just bared them in their defense. What came next would reshape everything they believed about the galaxy, and about monsters. The DWS Vengeance was not a ship designed for diplomacy. It was a juggernaut, a Dominion-class warcruiser the size of a small moon, bristling with armor plating, energy shields, and weapons powerful enough to level continents. Its hull bore the scars of hundreds of battles, and its crew was forged in the fires of Earth's harsh military academies and countless deep space conflicts. It was one of humanity's oldest surviving flagships, feared, respected, and almost mythical in some corners of the galaxy. Its crew were Deathworlders, a term given by alien species to describe humans who had evolved on one of the most lethal and unpredictable planets in known space, Earth. The term wasn't flattering. It was a warning. Earth was a place where extinction events had occurred with shocking frequency, where weather could kill in minutes, where apex predators had evolved. In every biome, to survive Earth was to be hardened beyond what most species could imagine. But humanity hadn't just survived. They had thrived. They had launched themselves into space, armed not only with technology, but with a mindset of relentless adaptability and ruthless problem-solving. And while many races sought exploration or trade, humans brought something else: order, protection, a doctrine forged in the crucible of a world that had never cared if they lived or died. When the Thalkari distress signal reached the Vengeance, it was received without hesitation or debate. The ship's AI processed the cry for help with algorithmic efficiency, pulling up planetary maps, linguistic patterns, and gravitational coordinates in a matter of seconds. The attack was already in progress. Civilian populations were under threat. There was no fleet present to mount a defense. Protocol was clear: intervene with extreme prejudice. Commander Alex Rourke, the Vengeance's senior officer, was briefed by the AI as the ship began its course correction. She stood on the bridge, a weathered veteran with silver-threaded hair and eyes that had seen too much. Beside her, the tactical officer, Lieutenant Mendoza, reviewed the preliminary combat scenarios. "They're not combatants," Mendoza said, reviewing the Thalkari's peaceful tech specs. "No real weapons, barely any planetary defenses." "Then they're already halfway to extinction," Rourke muttered. "We'll stop the bleeding. They're not going to like who answers the call. They don't have to like us. They just have to survive." To the humans aboard the Vengeance, this was another rescue mission in a galaxy that had seen too many tyrants and too few protectors. But to the rest of the galaxy, especially the peaceful civilizations, humans were walking nightmares. Stories circulated in interstellar bars and diplomatic chambers. How a single Deathworlder ship had destroyed an entire pirate flotilla. How human ground troops could survive in atmospheres that would melt other species in seconds. How their response to betrayal was swift, surgical, and absolute. The Thalkari would not know what was coming. All they would see was a black, obsidian-plated warship falling out of warp, flanked by drones the size of buildings and a crew ready for planetary assault. But what the Thalkari didn't understand, what no peaceful species ever seemed to believe, was that humans hated bullies. And when they got the call, no matter how far it came from, they came loaded, locked, and ready to do one thing: end the threat. The skies over Talaris Prime had not cleared. Fires still burned across the continent-spanning cities, and the air was thick with soot and despair. Yet in the midst of devastation, something new appeared, something the Thalkari had never seen and never imagined they would. From the edge of their atmosphere, sensors picked up a singular, impossibly massive object, exiting faster than light travel. There was no fanfare, no prior hail, only a wave of gravitational distortion and the displacement of clouds as the object pushed into low orbit. It was the DWS Vengeance. At first, the Thalkari didn't know what they were looking at. Their observation stations, many damaged in the initial Grunari assault, struggled to analyze the incoming vessel. It was enormous, larger than anything the Thalkari had in orbit. Its hull appeared matte black, shaped not for elegance, but for intimidation. Energy signatures spiked to alarming levels, and entire satellite networks collapsed under the weight of its data scans. The High Council was silent as the image came through. A black, angular leviathan descending above their capital, flanked by automated strike drones like a swarm of metal wasps. Panic broke out across what remained of the population. Civilians ran for shelters. Emergency broadcast systems flashed warnings. Many believed it was a second invasion force, one far worse than the first, and in a way, it was. The Legends of Yi. Deathworlders were not just stories whispered in dark corners of the galaxy. They were warnings passed down by traders and diplomats. No one truly knew what had become of the ancient war-breeding species from the third planet of a yellow star. But rumors said they had survived countless planetary collapses, even civil wars that leveled entire continents. They didn't conquer for glory. They fought for survival, and they always won. The Thalkari had never encountered humans directly. Most thought the stories were exaggerated. Some believed they were extinct. But now, a ship built by those very beings loomed above them, its engines humming with power far beyond Thalkari comprehension. A transmission came through, but it wasn't in Thalkari language. It was a low, monotone series of modulated pulses, followed by translated words. To the planetary government of Talaris Prime, this is Commander Alex Rourke of the Dominion Warship Vengeance. We have received your distress signal. Stand down. All defenses. Evacuation and containment protocols are being deployed. Repeat. This is a rescue operation. But the words were not heard as comfort. They were met with dread. The Thalkari Defense Sub-Council, led by Director Solanvir, debated the transmission. It's a trap, he said. They came in force. They knew our systems were down. This is conquest disguised as mercy. Despite orders to hold, a Thalkari orbital cruiser, one of the few remaining ships, launched a warning salvo at the Vengeance. It didn't make a scratch. The Vengeance responded instantly, not with lethal force, but with precision. A single beam sliced through the cruiser's engine array, disabling it entirely. The vessel drifted, powerless but intact. The message was clear. We could have destroyed you, but we didn't. For the first time in their history, the Thalkari faced a power greater than anything they'd known. Not hostile, but not exactly benevolent either. The humans had answered their call, but the price of their protection remained terrifyingly unclear. The arrival of the DWS Vengeance over Talaris Prime marked a turning point, one that was as tense as it was uncertain. The vast warship hung ominously in orbit like a dark sentinel, its black hull absorbing the faint light of the Thalkari sun. From the surface, the remaining population watched in silent fear, uncertain if their salvation had arrived or if their doom had just begun. The Thalkari, traumatized by the Grunari, invasion and wary of anything unfamiliar, prepared their limited defenses. Survivors armed themselves, and the government issued emergency protocols. But no one truly understood what this strange vessel's intentions were. Commander Alex Rourke and her crew aboard the Vengeance maintained constant communication attempts, broadcasting repeated messages in every known galactic language and the Thalkari's own tongue, assuring them the ship had come to assist and protect. Despite these efforts, cultural and psychological barriers made effective communication nearly impossible. The humans' sheer size and overwhelming military presence only intensified fear. To the Thalkari, the Vengeance was not a symbol of rescue but a harbinger of destruction. Its heavily armed drone escorts patrolling the skies resembled aggressive predators more than guardians. The warship's blunt and direct communication style, devoid of diplomatic nuance or subtlety, sounded like threats rather than reassurances. This deep mistrust boiled over when a small group of Thalkari defense ships, desperate to assert control and test the invaders' intentions, launched a tentative strike against the Vengeance's drone formation. Though their weapons were primitive compared to human technology, the attack was an act of defiance born out of fear. The Vengeance's response was swift and calculated. Instead of retaliating with full destructive force, the warship's tactical systems deployed a non-lethal disabling beam that cut through the engine and weapon systems of one attacking vessel. The targeted ship was rendered powerless and drifted helplessly in orbit. No lives were lost, but the message was unmistakable. The action ignited a mixture of panic and awe across Talaris Prime. Many saw the humans as brutal and unforgiving, willing to incapacitate without mercy. Others recognized that this act might be the key to preventing a full-scale battle and further devastation. On the Vengeance's bridge, Commander Rourke stood firm. "We don't want war," she said. "We're here to stop the Grunari and protect this world. If they believe we're enemies, it's because they don't know us yet." Back on the ground, the Thalkari debated fiercely. Some elders urged for peace and open dialogue, convinced the humans could be allies. Others called for withdrawal and fortification, fearing the humans might conquer them once the Grunari threat was dealt with. Amid the turmoil, a quiet faction of scholars and linguists began working tirelessly to decode the humans' complex communication protocols, hoping to bridge the vast gulf of misunderstanding. They studied the transmissions, cross-referenced human history with what little intelligence they could gather, and slowly realized that the humans' reputation for ferocity was matched by their unwavering loyalty to allies. Meanwhile, the Grunari, marauders monitoring the new arrivals, grew uneasy. The intervention of such a powerful and unpredictable force as the Deathworlders threatened their plans. Their raids became more cautious, their tactics shifting toward survival rather than annihilation. Tensions remained high, but the first seeds of understanding had been planted. The Thalkari began to grasp that the humans' terrifying appearance masked a complex reality, one of brutal honesty, fierce protection, and an unwillingness to tolerate cruelty. What the Thalkari hadn't expected was that this misunderstood arrival might become the key to their survival, if they could overcome fear and open their minds to an alliance unlike any other. As tension simmered in orbit and fear gripped the remaining population of Talaris Prime, a breakthrough occurred, not through firepower, but through understanding. The Thalkari linguists and diplomats, working tirelessly alongside the human communication officers aboard the DWS Vengeance, finally cracked the code behind the humans' terse, straightforward messages. What emerged was a stark revelation. The humans were not the conquerors the Thalkari feared. Instead, they were a species shaped by hardship, brutal honesty, and a deeply ingrained sense of justice. A species that had fought tooth and nail for survival and now sought to protect others who could not defend themselves. The human crew shared records of Earth's turbulent past, images and data depicting a world ravaged by natural disasters, endless conflicts, and fierce predators. Earth, once considered a death world, was a crucible that forced humanity to evolve not just physically but mentally and socially, developing unparalleled resilience, tactical ingenuity, and a hardened sense of loyalty. Commander Alex Rourke personally met with Thalkari representatives in a secure meeting chamber aboard the Vengeance. The cultural exchange was difficult, two vastly different species grappling with centuries of assumptions and fear, but it was honest. Rourke explained how humanity's history had taught them to respond swiftly to threats, not out of aggression, but from necessity. Their weaponry, though terrifying, was a tool to end conflicts quickly and decisively, minimizing prolonged suffering. The Grunari marauders are brutal, Rourke said. We don't negotiate with bullies, we stop them. The Thalkari realized that what they had mistaken for arrogance was actually a form of protection. Harsh, yes, but protective. They were no longer dealing with helpless victims, but with potential allies who understood the stakes of survival. This revelation was met with mixed emotions. Some Thalkari still struggled to accept humans' intimidating presence and blunt demeanor. Others saw hope in their words, realizing that the Vengeance's arrival could turn the tide against the Grunari. To further build trust, the humans shared footage of other worlds where they had intervened, planets devastated by war or natural catastrophe, saved by the decisive actions of the Deathworlders. Testimonies from grateful survivors painted humans as both fierce warriors and compassionate guardians. With trust slowly building, a joint strategy was formed. The humans would provide orbital defense and deploy tactical teams to assist the Thalkari resistance forces on the ground. The Thalkari, in turn, would use their knowledge of the planet's terrain and resources to guide the humans. Meanwhile, the Vengeance's engineers worked alongside Thalkari scientists to repair damaged communication arrays, ensuring uninterrupted contact and coordination. For the first time in weeks, hope returned to the battered cities of Talaris Prime. The cultural exchange also began to influence both sides. The humans learned from the Thalkari's peaceful philosophies and advanced technologies, particularly their expertise in harmonic energy, technology that could enhance shield systems and energy efficiency on the Vengeance. For the Thalkari, the presence of humans inspired a newfound resolve. They saw strength not just in survival but in alliance, an understanding that sometimes the fiercest protectors come cloaked in the most fearsome forms. The Grunari marauders, sensing the shift in power, grew cautious. Their raids slowed, and rumors spread among their ranks of a new force on Talaris Prime, one unlike any they had faced before. The stage was set for a final confrontation, but this time, the Thalkari would not face it alone. The truth was clear. The humans were no monsters. They were warriors forged in fire, fierce and unyielding, but also capable of great loyalty and honor. And with this truth revealed, a fragile but powerful alliance was born. With trust beginning to take root between the Thalkari and the humans, aboard the DWS Vengeance, the battered world of Talaris Prime braced for the inevitable reckoning with the Grunari marauders. The once divided survivors, inspired by the Deathworlder's unyielding presence, found new hope and determination. The planet's shattered cities were no longer a symbol of defeat, but a battleground for survival and unity. Commander Alex Rourke and High Chancellor Valarius forged a working alliance, a pact born out of necessity, but destined for something greater. The Vengeance's crew provided not only military might, but strategic expertise and technological support to augment the Thalkari resistance. Human tactical teams deployed from the Vengeance were unlike anything the Thalkari had seen. Hardened, veterans trained in guerrilla warfare, survival tactics, and rapid strike operations honed over centuries of Earth's unforgiving conflicts. Together they coordinated ambushes, sabotaged Grunari supply lines, and defended key strongholds. The humans also deployed orbital defense platforms, using their advanced targeting systems to intercept Grunari assault ships before they could enter the atmosphere. This aerial superiority provided crucial breathing room for the Thalkari civilians and fighters on the ground. But the alliance went beyond mere military cooperation. As months passed, cultural exchanges deepened. Thalkari scholars worked with human engineers to adapt harmonic energy technologies to shield and weapon systems, creating hybrid defenses more powerful than either could produce alone. Human medics learned from Thalkari healers' knowledge of organic regeneration, accelerating recovery for wounded soldiers. The relationship was not without tension. The Thalkari were cautious, mindful of the humans' brutal reputation. Some questioned whether this alliance might one day become a new form of domination. Likewise, some humans struggled to reconcile their own prejudices about peaceful species being weak or indecisive. Yet both sides recognized that survival depended on overcoming these fears. They learned to respect each other's strengths. The Thalkari's wisdom and grace, the humans' fierce resolve and tactical genius. The Grunari marauders, watching from the shadows, were caught off guard by the unexpected partnership. Their ruthless campaigns, once marked by ease and terror, now faced coordinated strikes and unyielding resistance. Attempts to sow discord between the allies failed, as their bond strengthened under fire. The decisive moment came during a massive assault on the Thalkari capital. The Grunari launched a final desperate push, flooding the skies with warships and bombardment. Yet the combined forces of Thalkari defenders and human soldiers held firm. Orbital batteries managed by human crews shredded Grunari cruisers before they could breach the atmosphere. On the ground, Thalkari warriors and human tactical squads fought side by side, their complementary skills creating a deadly synergy. As the battle reached its climax, Commander Rourke personally led a strike team to disable the Grunari command. Ship's Core, a mission fraught with peril but executed flawlessly. With their flagship destroyed, the invaders' morale shattered, and they retreated into the darkness of space. Victory was hard-won and bittersweet. The planet was scarred, many lives lost, but the Grunari threat was broken. In the aftermath, High Chancellor Valarius addressed his people. "We stand here not only as survivors but as allies. Today we have forged a bond that will protect our future." Commander Rourke added, "The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Alone, any of us can fall. Together, we are stronger than the sum of our parts." The alliance between the Thalkari and the Deathworlders was more than a military pact. It was a testament to what could be achieved when fear was replaced by trust. And as the stars wheeled overhead, both species knew this was only the beginning of a new chapter, a future where peace was guarded not just by hope but by unbreakable strength and unity.